Okay, I'm back with the Prokofiev 6th Sonata, fourth movement. I was roughly at measure 287, 89, where it goes. Okay, so just to put it into perspective, that theme occurs in 127 with pickup. G sharp minor, there. Here it occurs A minor. That is so typical of Prokofiev, which drives pianists mad, of course, for memorizing and learning, because when it's only off by a half a step, it's all inverted, so that the fingering may or may not work. It may be exactly backwards. What's comfortable one time may not be comfortable the next time. So going from black to white, for example, is very different from going from white to black. In this case, the editor, or Prokofiev, has suggested a rotational finger going from 1 backwards to 3 and then to 1 again, which works just fine. This 3, 5, 4, 2, 1 in the original does not work here, because well, you could make it work, but it would be uncomfortable. So instead, you end up on a 2. So let's see. I don't know if I've made a direct comparison. It's been a while enough. Put a thumb here at the end of that. I'll find out if that works. It's been a while since I've come through here. That works. Oh, an octave higher. I am curious. I just cannot recall. Yeah, he's being consistent at least, so that's nice. I've written fourth finger. So aside from the exception note on top, natural A minor, just all white notes. So 4, 3, 2, 1. A bunch of times happens to work. I don't have to worry about the octaves, because with 4 groups of 4, I have 16 notes, and then the turnover on the augmented chord. So good. Is that right? Okay, I've got to compare that, because I don't recall also the... No. Originally, when he does that, it's back to its tonic. Here he has it harmonized. So rather than going back all the way down to A, he chooses instead to go to C. Do I understand why? I do not. As far as I'm concerned, it could have been a mistake. Because everything else... It leaves me with an uncomfortable feeling, I gotta say. much research I can do on it, but I'll ponder it. There's too much to think about, so I have to automate one of my hands. E flat, the bottom note is C. Just have to make myself aware of the fact that going from 1 to 1 on A flat to B is not a problem at all. So, but it's a white note. I think maybe that C that he played before. I'm just trying to find a motivation behind his choice so it will be meaningful to me, because if it's not meaningful to me, I can't be as persuasive about it. In the first version, he went into all this funny stuff here, but here instead, in this next version, he goes back to C. So, in other words, A minor, and then he establishes C as a snare. So it's possible that he's giving us a glimpse of that C, and that also reinforces this pedal point earlier on. Of course, there was a pedal point earlier, but he violated that, or he kept the bass note in the key. I found enough possible motivation. I've got enough of a decent theory that it will satisfy me with the C on the bottom, I think. Fifth finger in my left hand to get to the E quickly. Oh, I could. Let me see if that's right. That might even be better, is to shift my hand over to either 1, 2, 4 or 1, 2, 3 on the A minor first inversion, so I could go and have my fifth right under my hand. I'm going to try that. And then I have to remind myself there's a 10th, because again, there's not enough time to be looking at everything. So if I know there's a 10th coming up and I didn't shift, shift again. Shift. And at the same time I shift, it's an augmented chord. There we go. maybe not. Let's see. If I went 3, 4, 5, 4, I could do that. Potentially considering leaving my fifth on the C and just going 4, 5, 4, 5. Whoops. So the climb an octave, a ninth, an octave, and finish on the ninth. So. Seems pretty reasonable. 4, 5, 4, 5. Okay. It's interesting, I've written 5, 4, 2 and a line further down, but 4, 2 seem to actually apply just exactly to the notes above it, completely serendipitously, I think. 1, 3, 5, then 4, 2. Yes. Good. Remember when it's an octave and when it's a single note. You've got to make it meaningful. So the single note helps me to trace this arpeggio downward. And then single, single, that I haven't written some fingerings for places that have an obvious need for a fingering decision. Such as here, this arpeggio. Oh, I remember thinking about it, however. Since I do have recordings, I can review my recording. 1 and 2 and 2. That's probably what I've done. Let's see. bug me that I have to turn pages in the middle of a musical thought. I do have this advantage of having several copies. So, and the fact that the pagination is different is actually, in a way, very useful because I can just and so on. Hold on a second. That's right. Is that the most pleasant thing on earth to go 2, 3, 4, 5 over the span of an octave like this? No, but it's so fast. So even though this one, unlike the 3-note arpeggios that are written as grace notes, is just written as 30 seconds, I think this is worth it. It's just energy. Never know what will fall. Boy, he has you jumping around a lot. Me too. He has me jumping around a lot. This is something interesting. You have to jump so much. Okay, the hands are playing the same notes, different octaves. The left hand is expected to not only cross over, but stay crossed over as the octave gets left. I actually think, and I'm going to write it down and then decide later if I like it, for sure. I'm going to write a backwards fingering. I'm going to go from 3-2 here to 1-2 here. Again, the principle being that 1-2 may seem appropriate, but considering where I am and the severe angle of my arm to my body otherwise, by going 2, I actually am playing my second finger to the left of my thumb because of the way my arm is angled. That's comfortable. That's not. Even though this is the order, 1 and 2, the order in which my fingers grow on my hand, this is the way it respects their natural position considering this angle. So, it's actually quite comfortable. And although I didn't write it before, I'm pretty well convinced that's what I'm going to do. Especially because of this hand crossing demands something like that. I could even consider doing that with the third finger, but I think I'll do it with the second. Also, I have to decide which hand I look at. Well, that's an obvious one. Typically, I look at the one that's moving faster. So the one that has 8th notes, which in this case is the right hand, has to go to there quickly, even though this is a tiny bit easier, I guess. I have time to take up some of my quarter note to move towards the upper chord. So I'm already there when the right hand needs to do its leap. I could look and then look at the left and look at the right if I need to, but I can probably do it with my eyes closed as well, more or less. It's an interesting thing, though. I like it. Dripping pencils again. move. I said gotta move. Then I've got to move back. I think at one point I did 5-4, but I have no indication of having made any kind of fingering decision. So I think I probably just shrugged my shoulders and said this is waiting for a solution on another day. Well, today's the day, I guess. That does not seem right. I'm much too high. I think, yes. Alternative here is 4-2, but again, I like 2-1 because of the angle. I mean 4-1 and CE on 330, so that gives me 3-2-3 for. Okay, so this theme had, a rather different character earlier on in the movement. Here's Più Tranquillo, Dolcissimo, piano. The first version was. And so on. Here it's. And rather slithery left hand, full of knives and oddities and dripping pencils. This is an obvious thing. My writing has to know its way around. My ear knows how the tune goes. My fingering has to work to make it all trustworthy. Why? Because the left hand, the accompaniment, is going to need most of my attention. So, a ninth. It's a chromatic motion upward and downward, but it's displaced by octaves. And then a tenth. Oh, this time it's instead of a tenth, it's a ninth. So it extends the chromatic system. Back to the tenth. And this time the chromatic, it stops being a chromatic. In essence, it becomes a a rather exotic trill because it's E to D sharp, E to D sharp, E, but displaced by octaves. So you'd never think of this as a trill, but in essence that's what it is. So 10th, 9th, it's a lousy 9th, 10th again, and down those 7ths. So, whoops. A 3-note group at the bottom. So, and a 3-note group at the top. 3-note group 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2. So, a thing to do here, and certainly Bartók loved this kind of thing too, is the sensation will create the grouping. I don't want to sit here and worry about 2s and 3s. I want to teach my body going up, land, land, down, down, and up, down, 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 up, down, 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 so that I know what I'm landing on, because it will sometimes reinforce the melody and sometimes it won't, and it has to be irrelevant. That was accurate, but that was in reading mode, namely just sort of hanging on for dear life. Ultimately, I want the fact that the hands seem out of phase to be just amusing to me. I want to know exactly how and why they're out of phase, and whether or not the reinforcement, like here on the 3rd downbeat, when they both have an inflection, whether that's significant. The next shared inflection is on the 6th downbeat. Everything else is off. Off, on. There it is. Well, that's useful to know, I gotta say. Not that I want to hit it, but it's an orientation point, like having your thumbs arrive together on a scale. Sharing it, splitting it between the hands. And then onward to other things. Oh, excuse me. It's modulated. And then we're on to our A theme again. Interesting. Meanwhile, so Here's where it changes. Here's where I pick up my pencils. Ah! Okay, same. Yeah. Different. So I measure 360 at the end of the measure. The hands split off from what they did originally. But it's good to know they do mostly the same thing. They start obviously differently because the right hand has this scale. And I should point out that concentrating on the left hand here manifests itself as my looking only at the left hand part because I drilled the right hand so I would know it, so it would be effectively, as I call it, the psychological accompaniment, not the thematic accompaniment, it's the thematic primary voice, that's the theme, but the left hand is where my attention needs to be. So. Okay, so here's something else that I'm going to make different. Originally, you know what? I've always been a little ill at ease with going 5, 4, 3, 2. Because it ends in the middle of my hand. I think I'm going to go to 4, which I needed the second time around because I really wanted a thumb to end up on A, so I could go on comfortably. And it turns out that's the fingering I wanted all along. And then a little bit of serendipity. How nice. Yes. The same thing. I have to decide what simplifies my task. There's a much bigger skip in the left hand here. It started by a leap, by a broken 12th, then a 2-octave leap, rather than a 1-octave leap. Then the right hand takes over. I've written half a fingering. I wrote 1 and 2 because I wanted to turn my hand over, but I never wrote 1 after that. That gives me the 4th finger that I wanted on 4, 3, 2, 1, and that descending 4-note group. So good. Let's see. Those things that bugs me about this notation. Prokofiev has written a half note on the bottom and a half note on the top. So then I break a 12th. So presumably the half note needs to be held by the foot. If I do that, I get both the A flat and the ensuing A on the same pedal. Goes from a mezzo piano to a subito pianissimo for the accompaniment. I think maybe the mezzo piano applies to the melody. I think I'll just do it. I'll let it all sort of merge. Because he obviously wants that F support on the bass. Okay, what I haven't practiced yet is the right hand figuration. terribly uncomfortable, it's just a little odd. It's too bad I haven't yet decided on a fingering. Maybe I'll just 5-4-2, I'll just toss my hand and do 5-4-2 again.